Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Just for Laughs announced a huge festival in London. I'll do that in the second half. Trevor Noah has a cover story in The Hollywood Reporter. That's next. But let me remind you, today on Netflix, Trevor Noah, I Wish You Would, makes its premiere. In that cover story from The Hollywood Reporter, which is quite lengthy, I shared it in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast group. The Hollywood Reporter writes, Trevor whipped through that day's headlines in a remote segment with Ronnie Chang. Then, with guest Iman waiting backstage, Noah leaned into the camera. There was nothing in the teleprompter. A script, he reasoned, didn't feel right for the moment. Trevor said, before we go to commercial, he told the audience he was leaving The Daily Show. He was nervous and excited. He had been chatting with Roy Wood Jr. the day before, and that was when Roy Wood reminded him that it was the 7th anniversary of the show being on the air. I've shared that story with you on this podcast. That milestone apparently hit Trevor harder than expected. Trevor said, and I just found myself filled with gratitude for the journey. It's been absolutely amazing, and I found myself thinking about everything we've gone through, the Trump presidency, the pandemic, more pandemic, and I realized that after 7 years, my time is up. Showrunner Jen Flans reacted and said, Trevor starts talking, and I look at the head writer like, what is he doing? We're going to have to edit this. As soon as they realized what was happening, she says, they lost all feelings in our bodies and then asked each other, did you know? Does it look like I knew? 4 minutes and 40 seconds later, Trevor Noah was done. The showrunner and the writer walked over to Trevor's desk as they've done every act break for years, but with 200 strangers in the studio audience, they wouldn't have a moment of sincerity. So Flans, the showrunner, tried to cut the tension and said, we went heavy. Are we keeping that? But he couldn't even look at us. He said, I'm sorry. And we were like, let's finish the taping. Let's get all these people out of here. Then we'll talk. Trevor's reps were on their way to Toronto because he was filming a Netflix special the next night, and nobody knew about that either. Trevor said, part of the reason I did it that way is because I didn't want anybody to be the person who then tells somebody else, who then tells somebody else, who then tells somebody else. And this is where we create the thing. The show's where we're together, our space. And so for me, it felt like the most natural way to tell everybody at the same time. In the few hours between the taping and airtime, the staff was assembled. Flans, the showrunner, says it was exactly what you would think it would be. Quick and very quiet. Trevor apologized to everybody. And then, since I was there from the transition from Craig Kilborn to Jon Stewart and from Jon Stewart to Trevor Noah, I felt pretty confident saying, we're so lucky that we had Trevor for 7 years, but this place is an institution. There wasn't much more to say at that point. A reminder, Trevor is leaving the show December 8th, and we have Thanksgiving week this week, so Trevor does not have many shows left. Trevor said, maybe this comes with not being raised in America, but I believe that everything should end. A lot of American business and American media are like, keep it going as long as possible. But I think it's healthy for things to end when they're still in a good place. I want to leave before I'm burnt out because there are many other things I'd like to do. More from that article tomorrow. Also debuting tonight on Hulu, Welcome to Chippendales. Spoiler review coming up in 3, spoilers in 2, 1. All right, spoiler coming. Apparently, The Hollywood Reporter did not love it. They wrote over 8 45-ish minute installments. The miniseries never quite works its way to a distinctive tone or style or perspective and never finds all that much to say about what it's showing us beyond some vague cliches about greed, pride, and the immigrant experience. It's a sordid tale, all right? But not one that's rendered here with any real weight. Ouch. Kumail Nanjiani stars in Welcome to Chippendales. I've been looking forward to this. I haven't planned my life around it, and I'm probably not going to get to it tonight, especially you guys who listen every day know how much TV backs up on me, and surely Trevor Noah's special is going to come before this. The Hollywood Reporter adds, there's perhaps no universe in which a true story that combines murder, money, and scantily clad men is not going to be at least a little bit interesting. So Hulu's Welcome to Chippendales has that going for it. There's a lukewarm review if I ever heard one. Also in its favor is an apparently generous budget to recreate the tale's cocaine-fueled 1980s setting through lavish sets, carefully curated costumes, and an all-banger soundtrack with ABBA, Queen, and Kiss. There's the undeniably talented cast led by Kumail Nanjiani, each of whom get the opportunity to show off what they can do with a meaningful gaze, a twitch of the cheek, a trace of hysteria, and an otherwise measured voice. The bottom line? A well-acted disappointment. Ouch. Hey, remember the story about the British comedian who was going to shred 10,000 pounds if David Beckham didn't quit going to the Qatar World Cup and all that? Yeah. Stay with me for the surprise twist. So the headline in the morning on Monday was a British comedian shredded 10,000 pounds, roughly $11,900 US dollars, depending where you exchange your currency and when you did it, after giving the former England soccer captain David Beckham an ultimatum to pull out of his role as an ambassador for Qatar at the World Cup. Joe Lycett said last week he would donate the money to charity if Beckham agreed to cut ties with the World Cup host, or he'd shred the money. On Sunday, Lycett, dressed in a rainbow dress, posted footage of him putting 2 stacks of 5-pound notes into a wood chipper, and it appeared that they shredded the money. Wait, surprise twist. On Monday, Joe released an update and said, I haven't quite told you the whole truth, because the truth is the money that went in the shredder was real, but the money that came out was fake. I'd never destroy any real money. I would never be so irresponsible. In fact, the 10 grand has already been donated to LGBTQ plus charities before I even pressed send on the initial tweet last week. I never expected to hear from you, David Beckham. It was an empty threat designed to get people talking. CNN asked Joe Lycett's reps for details on which charities were donated to. They haven't heard back yet as I record this, but Stonewall confirmed that it was one of the charities to receive a donation. In a social post on Monday, Lycett said the stunt was an empty threat designed to get people talking. In many ways, it was like your deal with Qatar, David. Total BS from the start. So I woke up on Monday and I checked the email, and in the inbox was this from Just for Laughs, and I was like, yo, this is awesome. Just for Laughs Group and some others present the inaugural Just for Laughs London 4-day comedy festival, March 2nd to the 5th. How do I get myself there? That would be amazing. Today, the festival reveals the first slate of 2023 programming with appearances by, and this is just for starters, Ryan Reynolds. He'll be your headliner. Yeah, Graham Norton, Catherine Ryan and Friends, Reggie Watts, Aisling B and Friends, Richard Curtis, Rob Delaney, Adam Buxton, Craig Robinson and the Nasty Delicious, James Acaster, Nish Kumar, Randy Feldface, and a very special series of shows in partnership with Comic Relief. That's just the headline. Let's read the actual copy here. Bruce Hills, who's a good guy, and I know him. And I noticed on his social media, he's in Qatar. At least he was heading there. Bruce is the president of Just for Laughs, and in his statement, he said, every year, without a doubt, the British contingent of comedians at JFL Montreal are one of the highlights of our event. I agree, Bruce Hills, which I credit to the comedians' distinctiveness, originality, and point of view unlike any other. Now's a perfect time for us to bring our festival to shine the international spotlight on the incredible UK scene, while also bringing global comedy stars to join forces in producing one epic comedy celebration. All right, let's take a look at some of the shows. Ryan Reynolds, Maximum Effort, moderated by Rob Delaney. That's the big show at the O2 Arena. March 4th is that show. Global superstar Ryan Reynolds will transport us into his creative multiverse, as he talks about everything from his accomplished acting. That was if you're a Marvel fan. That's what that's about. As he talks about everything from his accomplished acting career to being a producer and screenwriter, blah, blah, blah. This is sure to be a fun-packed conversation filled with laughter, anecdotes, and insight, blah, blah, blah. Moderating the conversation will be Ryan's Deadpool 2 co-star Rob Delaney. See that multiverse thing there? So it's a conversation, so I'm going to the O2 Arena to see two guys talk? It's a little weird, no? The O2 Arena seats 20,000. I just looked it up. All right, next up, the Variety Gala, hosted by Graham Norton. Show date and time to be announced. Graham Norton will be taking the stage to host a special curated Variety Gala. Little vague, all right, but Just for Laughs has a great exclamation point track record with galas, and Graham Norton's awesome, so that's going to be good. Catherine Ryan and Friends, March 2nd at the Indigo at the O2. Google tells me the Indigo has a standing capacity of up to 1,800 and seated capacity up to 2,800. All right, so that's the smaller room, but still a big room. She'll host a special lineup of brilliant comedians, TBD. Joining Catherine will be the Edinburgh Comedy Award nominee and star of Mock the Week and Live at the Apollo BBC version, Darren Harriott. Reggie Watts plays the Indigo on Saturday, March 4th at 11 p.m. Sunday, March 5th at the Indigo, Comic Relief, The Truth and Everything Except the Truth, hosted by Richard Curtis, co-founder of Red Nose Day. He's joined by Comic Relief stars as they reveal Comic Relief, The Truth and Everything Except the Truth. Performers TBD. Aisling B and Friends, Saturday at the Indigo. She'll be joined by Nish Kumar, plus more comedians to be announced. Friday night, The Horn Section, following the Horn Section TV show on Channel 4, their hit BBC Radio 4 series, their own TV special, The London Palladium, appearances as house band on Save Our Summer Crouchy's late year Euros, and The Last Leg, an iTunes chart-topping podcast, and many years of sellout shows at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in London's West End. Don't miss everybody's favorite Dictionary Corner regulars on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. Whew, this is some copy, guys. And the first band to ever host Nevermind the Buzzcocks. They'll be at Just for Laughs London this March. Somebody needs to rewrite that paragraph, man. Maybe somebody's me. I could have rewritten it, but it would still be a mess in the press release. Love you, Bruce Hills, but come on, have somebody tighten that copy. Adam Buxton's Best of Bug, Thursday at the Indigo. British writer, comedian, podcast host Adam Buxton brings Bug, the long-running sellout BFI music video show, to the Indigo stage. Expect a selection of outstanding videos from the last few years. See? That was nice, tight copy. Craig Robinson and the Nasty Delicious, Friday at the Indigo. Unclear to me if it's a music show or if there's some comedy in there. I guess there's some comedy in there. Max and Ivan's The Wrestling at the Indigo on Sunday. The Wrestling is a death-defying Edinburgh Comedy Award winning sellout mega show, the grandest, most outrageous spectacle in the comedy universe. Stemming from Max's misspent youth as the UK's youngest professional wrestler, he was Max Voltage, the human dynamo. It's a world of spectacular high-flying action featuring your favorite comedians as you've never seen them before. Since the wrestling began, Aisling Bea has been hurled over the top rope, Sarah Pesco has been carried in on the back of an entire semi-nude team of acrobats, and Max and Ivan has done battle atop a ladder, all in front of a live crowd. Good versus evil, clotheslines versus punchlines. That sounds like a really fun, different show. Saturday, Springleaf, James Acaster and Nish Kumar screening at the Cineworld on Saturday. This is a funny setup. James Acaster is the covert stand-up comedian persona of undercover cop Pat Springleaf. Everybody knows that. And as it's obligatory for all comedians to have a podcast these days, Pat wants in. When Pat was undercover, he wore his wire 24/7, 365. In this one-off event, Pat talks to Nish Kumar about the true crime podcast he's been working on, in which he uses the wire recordings he's amassed over years of infiltrating criminal gangs to blow open wide the biggest case he's ever worked on. A case in which Nish played an unwitting part. That sounds like a really good time. Couple more podcasts in the mix. I'll skip down. Randy Feltface, he's fantastic. I watched his show on YouTube. I got to go see him live. He's at Cineworld at the O2 on Friday, March 3rd. Randy Feltface has spent over 15 years carving out a unique niche on the international comedy circuit. This is The Purple Puppet, if you haven't seen it. It's very good. I know you're like, really? Trust me. It's on YouTube. Watch it. So the London Just for Laughs Festival coming in March. That's a good time. And Friday night, Elon Musk waited until I recorded Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and he put out this news. Kathy Griffin can return to Twitter, but he misspelled her name, Kathie. In a tweet, Kathy Griffin, Jordan Peterson, and Babylon Bee have been reinstated. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.